Get ready for inspirational, motivational, purpose-driven conversation with Courtney Cottrell and Dr. Pat Vasili. This is Unapologetically Favored, a show where you will learn to be yourself, love yourself, and walk in your purpose without fear or worry. Courtney is a leader of many and a friend to all. She is a passionate speaker, author, and 21-year active duty Master Chief with the United States Navy, here to show you that obstacles are everywhere. But the moment you stop letting your setbacks define you, you start to see yourself in a brilliant new light. Find your confidence, own your power, and never apologize for who you are. Unapologetically Favored starts now.
Listen, welcome again back here with us, the fourth Thursday of every month with myself and Dr. Pat, Unapologetically Favored. This is the show where you're going to get the motivation, the inspiration, and the purpose-driven conversation that you might not need or you might not think you need, but you probably do need. So if you are tuning in with us, thank you so much for hanging out with us. It has been, Dr. Pat and I was just talking, it has been a day. It has really been a day. But today's topic, we're going to jump into healing because we're really having this conversation about healing. And, you know, if like right now is that time, just, you know, I just can't help but just keep thinking about the last couple of years, how just everything has just transpired and just, you know, for some people, things have just spiraled out of control. For other people, you know, becoming more self-aware of who they are, what they want in life, you know, their value, what they have to offer, their worth. People have actually gotten, you know, humbled by the last 2 years. And if you find yourself, you know, you've been doing a lot of reflection, you know, maybe you probably found your true calling in life, or, you know, some of you may have set new boundaries for yourself and your family, you know, found your inner peace, your passion. Some of y'all maybe even found your passion and your purpose in life. But for those of you who have not, you know, what are you doing? If you have found it, are you happy? Probably not, because it's still a void. It's still a sense of emptiness. You can have everything in the world, all the friends in the world, and still feel lonely. So what is holding you back from your true happiness? What is holding you back from being the best version of yourself? What is it that you need to heal from that is weighing you down in this baggage of life? Yeah. That is what we are talking about today.
Yeah, I love that you have picked this for our topic today, because you and I started out by saying, what a day. I mean, that's like that's our version of
that was exactly what happened. What a day.
What a day. But let's get at this. I love that you're picking something today to talk about. And the title of this episode is simply You're Healing. You are healing. Now, what is it about the word healing that confuses people? And I want to just kick it up by just getting at it. We sometimes look at healing as only physical, right? So there would be a definition that comes out that says healing is operationally defined as a personal experience of transcendence or suffering. That's one definition. Then physicians say abilities as healers by recognizing, diagnosing, minimizing, relieving suffering. So notice now two definitions with the word suffering in it, right?
Right.
Then we get the biblical version of healing, because yes, there is one. And it says through integrating forces that restore, transform, sustain, nurture the whole person, body, mind, spirit, each phase in every dimension of life and relationship of the person to their creation. I didn't even know that. Then you get the field of psychology. Here we come, riding in on the psychology four horsemen. Here we are, the process of alleviating or attempting to alleviate a mental or physical illness through the power of the mind. Okay, that leaves out spirituality, right? Hello. But now they're using, we can use visualization, we can use manipulation or energy flow. So here we sit, because there are people in a lot of pain.
Yeah.
And when you're in pain, we got to get on the horse that's called healing. Tell us how you're doing it.
So, you know, earlier today, today I had the honor of being a guest speaker for some seniors in high school. They're in the NJROTC program. And I've never shared my story about life's baggage with, the younger generation. I don't know, for some reason, I feel like maybe they wouldn't pick up on it. So I took a chance and I shared my vision, Courtney's vision of mental health when it is a real thing, developing in your life. Everybody is born into this world with a bag. We all carry this bag with us from birth to death. And inside of this bag stores the people and places, experiences, relationships, emotional, twists and turns, the uphill battles, the wins, the losses, all of these things are stored in your bag. And when you find yourself getting to a place in life where you're stuck, you feel like nothing is going your way, you're not elevating at work, you're not elevating in your relationship, your friends around you are starting to cut you off, your family members don't want to be around you, your kids are looking at you like you're crazy because you're coming home in a bad mood every day. Maybe your bag is a little too full. Maybe you need to sit your bag down and start going through your bag to find out, what is it that I am dragging through my life with me that I need healing from, that I need closure from, that I need to get rid of? Because those things are what is stopping you from showing up as the greatest version of yourself. Healing begins within. It's not anything that you can look at somebody else and say, you know what, can you heal me? I'm not a shaman, I'm not a wizard, I'm not a witch. I don't have magical powers. Everything that you want to do in life starts within you. You have to figure out, because it's your story, it's your life, it's your experience. You have to figure out who it is that you need to forgive. What relationship do you need to let go? Because letting go, that's the first part of the healing journey, recognizing it and letting go.
I think that what you're talking about is recognizing it is important. And
Yes.
I love that you are going to be sure. I love that you're taking your story out to talk to people, because it is a journey. I didn't talk about myself on air for a good 15 years out of the
Right.
20. And until one of our longtime listeners pointed that out to me and said, Pat, you kind of hint to this and hint to that. And then I finally talked about my mom's suicide and, a number of other things. But isn't it funny? I love our young people. I love all people.
Right.
But our young people have been getting bad raps.
Right.
I do not like that we put people into boxes.
Right.
We have something to say about millennials, then we got the Zers, then we got this, then we got that. And we're losing the punchline. And I think you say it best, because what you're talking about is people wanting to gain that strength.
Right.
So that we don't have to live a life being broken, right?
Right. And that's suffering, like you mentioned earlier, a lot of us are suffering in silence. It's an internal suffering, because just like you, it took a while for you to get to a point in your life where you were okay with sharing your story with others, with strangers. And that was that vulnerability piece, because you didn't know what kind of feedback you were going to get from that. You didn't know how people were going to approach you or, act towards you, or just, that's the vulnerability piece, when you can finally say, you know what, I'm at a point in my life where I'm tired of struggling emotionally. I'm tired of struggling internally. I'm tired of struggling in silence. You know what? Now is the day that I'm going to be heard. I'm going to say something. I need to take a knee. I need to sit down for a second. I need to go see somebody. I need to talk to somebody. But we are so caught up in how we appear to other people. And, and for some people, being that weak, that soft-spoken person, that broken person, they love being that individual, because that individual gets attention, even though it might not be the attention that they should be getting. It gets them the attention that they probably feel like they need, because they have a void to fill. So, the broken piece, it's when it's internal, you are in control of you. You have to sit down and figure out, where is my strength going to come from so that I can rise up out of this. I was in a dark place at one point in my life. I contemplated suicide at one point in my life. And you never really realize how strong you are until that is the only option that you are left with. The only option. And strength is not you hanging on to something. You hanging on to a situation, a relationship, a friendship, a family, you hanging on to that does not mean that you're strong. It means that you're weak because you're scared to let go, because you're scared of what's going to happen, how you're going to feel, the emotional. You don't want to deal with that. But you become stronger when you let it go, despite how it's going to make you feel. You're ready for it. That's when you know you're at this stage and you're healing. It's like ripping the scab off. And I think I explained it to the students in the school today. I said, you ever stood at the edge of a pool and you know the pool water is cold, right? It's getting ready to be really, really cold when you go in there. We know this. But you also know that once you are in that pool, you start swimming around a little bit, the water becomes warm, it doesn't bother you no more. Then you get out and get back in with no problems. But it's that initial first jump that sends the shock waves through your body. That's what your healing journey is going to be. The initial first jump is going to send shock waves through your body. It's going to hurt. It's going to, take the breath out of you. But after a while, it's going to be okay. And you'll be able to get up in confidence. You'll be able to survive and live your life and walk around with a smile and talk about your journey without being emotionally distraught or angry or, just the emotional roller coaster. But that healing journey starts by you just jumping in the pool. Just jump in the pool.
Look, this is such a very important and understated topic. And I know it's near and dear to your heart. I know you've been through it, and I know you look in the eyes of other people and you see, look, unapologetically favored is who we are, and how to get from where you are today to really believing that is what you, Courtney Cottrell, this is what you help people with. Let's take a short break if we could. When we come back, we're going to take this journey down this pathway with Master Chief, and you're going to get an understanding of not just why this is important, but there are people in the world that you're going to recognize. When we come back, what brings us to the brink? What is that? What is the aspect of emotional dynamics that we could learn from? And then what does Courtney do to help others heal? Because healing emotionally, that is where the juice is. Let's take a short break, Courtney. Okay. When we come back, you're going to take us down a journey of what is called EH, emotionally healing with Courtney Cottrell. We'll be right back. Hey, everybody. Cool. Hey, Courtney, before we keep rolling here, we need to tell people how they're going to find out more about you and also how they can work with you, how they can get copies of your book, all of the above. Please don't forget that.
All of the nuggets. Yes. So you can find me on unapologeticallyfavored.net. From there, you can also purchase all three of my books. Unapologetically Favored, Wake Up, Turn Up, Bless Up, and my latest one, Never Be Afraid to Eat Alone, which is a actual workbook. You will have homework in that book. I also have a motivational apparel and gift line at shopfavored.net that you can also navigate to through my website. And just recently this month, I have a show every Saturday morning at 0700 early in the morning on iHeartRadio with WDRB Media. So you can find me there as well. And that is a lot of interviews. I like positive motivation and inspiration. Facebook, Unapologetically Favored. Instagram, Unapologetically CAK. And on Twitter, at the letter U, Favorite Podcast. So yeah, send me a shout out.
Okay. So let's get at this thing that we call, right? And this is really what's right up in front of us, because we started talking about it before the break, right?
Right.
And that is, we started to talk about emotional healing. And this is where, like you and I were chit-chatting during the break, this is where the baggage really piles up right there.
Oh, yes.
It's big. And tell us about what you've seen. Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, actually, like during the break, Dr. Pat and I, it's something I wanted to bring up. It's kind of like we're kind of drifting off, but it's okay. It's good conversation. I brought up the article that I'm sure everybody have seen, the news, the headlines with the USS George Washington having, the suicides of the sailors. And, it is very, very disheartening. And a lot of the times when things happen like that, yes, it is part of a mental health situation. Yes, it is a part of, healing, and, all that is all tied into one, in my eyes. And it's sad that, a lot of people, they don't know how to handle the baggage that I spoke of earlier in the show, because we all have a mental baggage. But it's easier for us to just blame others for why people do the things they do, instead of understanding that, no, maybe this person had a lot going on inside of their bag that you will never know about, because we don't tell people everything about us. You don't know every single thing about everybody, including people in your family. Somebody's always hiding something. You know what people allow you to know about them. So when somebody commits suicide, or somebody goes and just does something that's so far out of their character, we don't ever want to believe it. I want to say, they didn't do that. It's somebody else's fault. They were coerced to, doing that, or they were, no, that might just be that person, but you didn't know this, because their bag is so heavy. They don't feel supported. They don't feel secure. They don't feel confident enough or safe enough to say, hey, I need a timeout. I need to take a knee. I need to go talk to somebody, because we would rather talk about people than talk to them to get them help. So nobody wants to raise their hand and say, hey, can I have a timeout for a second? And if you're listening to the show right now, we encourage you to say, hey, I need a timeout, because I get it. That's one way of starting to take this journey to healing, because you are aware of your emotional state. You are aware of how you are affecting the people that are around you. When you are, your emotional IQ is very well. And for us empaths, it is crazy, because we're so in tune with everything, personally and socially. How are you affecting the people around you? If somebody was to walk up to, your coworker, your friend, your significant other, your child, and they said, hey,
Horribly.
Right.
Horribly.
How's Dr. Pat
Let's
doing
get
today?
down to it. Let's get down to this one point, because this is the thing. This is the thing we have to understand what you just said. Because once we have stepped over a line, and I'm not even going to say what that line is, because it's different for different people, right? You may have a relationship with somebody that you're up in each other's face, and that's normal, right? But even in that dynamic, there is a line that just doesn't get crossed.
Right.
But when it does, do you have what it takes not to react? See, that's the question, isn't it?
That's a skill. That is a skill set, because a lot of people, we want to react to everything. And I tell people, listen,
I react
everybody, and you have to be protective of your energy and your peace. Everybody does not deserve all of your energy, because it is draining when you are arguing with somebody. It is very draining.
Can I tell you the moment I had today?
Yes, please share.
Okay. So at many, many levels, I've kind of been following Elon Musk.
Yes.
I follow him because he came out about, he and I have very similarities in some of the things that go on with us. And he came out about being on the spectrum. I really, really appreciated that. But the idea of Twitter and him buying Twitter and what he believes about that. Now, look, I am a big freedom of speech person, but I also believe in do no harm.
Right.
And, the thing that I have learned in my upbringing by my folks, I learned the consequence by doing some very stupid things as a kid.
Right.
And if you say things that cause people harm, or if they are not true, you can't get them back. So I had my moment today. Like, I almost stepped across the line to have a reaction that honestly I didn't need to have, because Elon Musk, he don't care about me. He doesn't know me.
Right.
He doesn't understand. And nor do I think it's going to influence him. So there's only one alternative I have for that. I could really get sideways about it all day long, all week long. I could, or I could choose peace.
Right.
But we have to learn that. How do we learn it?
It is a skill. It's not something that happens overnight. And I know for me, it took me a long time to get to where I could just be unbothered by people. Because you can only control your actions, your attitude, right? And when you allow outside entities to manipulate your emotions, to make you mad because you're on social media reading things, to start lashing out at people, you have given your power away at that moment. And clowns will be clowns. If you keep giving them, you give a clown your attention, they're going to keep performing because they thrive on that. They love that. So while you're over here firing away, keyboard warrior, cell phone warrior, just going back and forth, arguing with somebody over something that you can't even control, they're probably getting a kick out of it. They're loving that. And you're feeding into it. You're giving all your power away. And by the time you're done, your blood pressure is high, your adrenaline is running, your anxiety is out, off the charts. But for what? For somebody who doesn't know you, for somebody who could care less, for something that's not even probably going to ever happen and never come to fruition. You have to be picky. You have to be selective when it comes to what you're going to entertain, who you're giving your energy to, because everybody does not deserve that part of you. But it's a skill set. It takes time to learn that. And it took me a little bit, but I can tell you, once you reach that point, it's beautiful.
I'm telling you, it is a little bit. And, also it really brings to mind about what it looks like when we don't. So I think we can reflect on what it looks like. Everybody listening to this show, I want you to take a minute and just really get a little bit up close with yourself, but do this in a non-judgmental way if you could, because it doesn't really help, Courtney, does it? If we try to do introspective work, right? And then at the same time, we are pounding ourselves as we're doing it. That is not the way we change and transform, because every one of us has had these moments. Maybe somebody didn't, I don't know them, but every one of us has had moments where we lose it. It could be over a boss. It could be over the coffee. I'm going to tell you, when I was younger, when I was younger, right? Like 20-ish, we would go out to the diner, like in Jersey, they have diners. After we would be out playing softball, then this on a work day, just saying, playing softball. Okay. Then what do you do after softball? You go to bar, because that's why you play softball, just to go to the bar later, right? That's what you're doing. Then you're doing that. Then of course you got to go eat. So you go to the diner, and what do you eat? You usually eat breakfast. Right. I would lose my stuff if I ordered. Do I even want to share this on air? Benny's like, go for it. I would lose it if I ordered eggs over easy and the yolk got broke.
That's just fried eggs.
But it may sound like a simple thing, but think about it. Mm-hmm. If we're losing it over that, what is happening when we're around our children?
Right.
Or around our coworkers? Right. Around our clients?
Right. That introspection is you have to be aware of how you are affecting other people. That's where it starts. It starts internally. That awareness. And if you're listening to this, sit and ask yourself right now, like, oh man, how am I affecting people? And I know for me, way back in the dark ages of doom, when I was, a little baby sailor in the Navy, I no kidding, I tell people I had a breakdown, and that breakdown is what became my breakthrough, because I was no kidding at work. I had lost my mind. I'm talking about snot crying, temper tantrum. They didn't know what to do with me. They took me into an office trying to find a box of Kleenex. They're like, what is going on with you? Because it was so far out of my character, but my bag was full. My bag was so heavy at a young age, not knowing how to navigate, not knowing, who to turn to, who I could trust, how to go about handling what I believed to be like the worst circumstances ever, but it really wasn't. Now that I look back on it, I'm like, girl, that's all you was crying about. But at the time, it was the worst thing ever. But that was me ripping the scab off, jumping into the pool, like just having a moment of self-awareness that, you know what, I will never let anything in my life drag me down to the point that I lose my mind.
Yeah.
That I start just be acting so far out of character that they start questioning me like, are you fit to be in the Navy? Never.
Yeah. Let's do this. When we come back from break, we're going to talk about Tyler Perry.
Yes.
We're going to talk about Tyler Perry. Tyler Perry is one person, but story. Wait till you hear the story. And you be thinking to yourself, Tyler Perry. I know you know who Tyler Perry is. We'll just make sure Olivia gets an image up there or something. But you know who Tyler Perry is. Tyler Perry is one of these folks that when you hear what Courtney has got to say about Tyler Perry and what his journey was like, you understand what we're talking about. Because there are many of us that have gone through early childhood trauma, abuse, you name it. That doesn't have to be our life ending. When we come back, Courtney's going to take us on that journey. Also, how do people tell people about Never Be Afraid to Eat Alone? Tell us about that
Yes, ma'am.
first.
Listen, Never Be Afraid to Eat Alone. It's going to be that book that is going to make you do some self-reflection. It's going to make you sit down and figure out how to start your healing journey. Who do you need to forgive? What is a confession that you need to get out? What are things that bring you peace that you aren't doing right now? Or, what can you do? 5 things you can do tomorrow to make yourself better. Never Be Afraid to Eat Alone is a workbook that is going to make you own your power and level up. So you can purchase it at Amazon. All 3 of my books are available on Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, through my website at unapologeticallyfavorite.net. Purchase it today, and I promise you, you will not be disappointed.
I love it. When we come back, we're going to talk about what it is that happens with this, but also what happens when you turn your pain to passion. You see, that's not impossible. What if Courtney and I were to tell you that could be an end game, that if you're in the middle of your stuff now, it's going to be hard for you to fathom. But when we come back, wait till you hear about how others are doing it. Wait till you hear how Courtney has done it. Remember, turn your pain into passion. Let's take a short break, Benny. We'll be right back. Courtney, bring us back.
Oh, welcome back. Oh, I know I'm over here just thinking about what we're talking about.
Laughing.
Welcome back to Unapologetically Favorite. Listen, we are on this healing journey conversation today, and we know somebody out there listening right now needs to hear this. And you never know, why things happen in your life the way they happen, but there is a reason and purpose for everything. And right now, let me just give you a little tidbit. You can follow me at Unapologetically Favorite on Facebook, at Unapologetically CAK on Instagram, and at the letter U Favorite Podcast on Twitter. You can also visit my website, send me an email. I will respond at unapologeticallyfavorite.net. Check it out. Send me some motivation. If something you want to talk about, let me know. Let me know how we're doing on this show. I love me some Dr. Pat. But we were talking about Tyler Perry before we went to the commercial break. I'm going to read you a quick snippet because we're going to roll into, how do you turn your pain into passion? How do you turn your circumstances and the things that you've been through into a passion to help others? So Tyler Perry, as you know, he is an actor, a writer, a producer, a director. He has so many different shows out on TV right now, but he also dealt with physical, emotional, and sexual abuse as a child. And he was also homeless before he became this big sensation as an adult. His writing and plays, as comical or light as they may seem, they always inspire, us viewers to get through our hardships, from abuse to domestic violence, single parenthood, racism. We're doing all this with strength and dignity. And I remember watching his early plays and just the story and the meaning. It'll be funny, but it'll be so serious at the same time. And you leave there with like a new perspective on something. And he has he mentioned this. It's not an easy journey to get to a place where you can forgive people, but it is such a powerful place because it frees you. It frees you from that suffering, that bondage, the prison that you are in mentally, internally. I didn't have a catharsis for my childhood pain. Most of us don't. And until I learned how to forgive those people and let it go, I was unhappy. You can never be upset with the people who forced you into your dream or up higher. I love that quote because with this, he's letting us know that he did not use what he went through as a crutch. He did not play victim all his life. He turned what he went through, what he endured, into like a billionaire empire right about now. You know, like he used the test that he went through as a testimony for all of us now who may need it.
Yeah. Yeah. This is really what I love about this. And there are other people, and I think we should share a few stories.
Oh, yeah.
I wanted to say something. The other day, you all heard me talk about Will Smith for a moment. And I did talk about the event, but then I shared what my personal feelings were about the weight. Can I use your term? The baggage he may have been carrying.
Oh, yes.
Because see, what we don't want to talk about are what the events were leading up to the moment.
Right.
And how important that film was to him at emotional levels, how much he wanted to honor the Williams sisters beyond anything that any of us can imagine, how much of his soul went into playing that role. He produced that movie. How much grief, even at award ceremonies, that these two women took by other actors and directors making strange comments about them. And he carried that burden for them. They stayed pretty silent. He also wanted to make sure he represented their sister who died in a drive-by. See, so this is what we're not talking about, right? We're not talking about that. We're also not talking about when someone crosses a line and we've been carrying the baggage, what can we learn to help ourselves? Let's talk about some of these other people you've highlighted. I know you've got a few here, but I just want to say, we need to be talking more about what is it that we carry within us that without help, we do have moments that we can't take back.
Right.
And I think that is so very important. Of course, I have my opinions about the punishment for that. And I have my opinions about just how in contrast, you can have people that take over the Capitol with guns and you're still waiting for somebody to do something about it. But that's another show. Well, let's tell us about some of these other people.
So I was like thinking about this and I said, there are a lot of people who take what they have been through and they use it to help the next person or keep the next person from having to go through and experience what they've experienced. And one of the persons I came across was Audrey Hepburn. I watched a documentary on her on Netflix, and I just loved everything about her. When she was a child during World War II, her and her family depended on a lot of charities for food and medicine. And after she retired from the movie business, she became a Goodwill ambassador for the UNICEF, and it became her primary focus. And even in her Netflix, they covered that, how she traveled and helped raise money and visit countries and continued to work for the foundation, all while she was battling cancer. And then starting with her first UNICEF mission to an Ethiopian orphanage, she remained dedicated to helping vulnerable children because she knows what it feels to not have. She knew how it felt to be hungry. She knew, so she took her experience and decided to help other people who were going through the same thing. Between 1988 and 1992, she auctioned off most of her famous film costumes to bring in clean water, food, and medicine to children around the world. That's deep.
What do you make of that? What do you make of that?
Like, to me, it's overwhelming because we have a lot of people that don't understand. We're just human nature. We are just so quick to be like, oh my gosh, I'm being punished in my life. I can't get ahead. I don't know why this is happening to me. And I tell people, if you are going through something and you are coming out on top, you are still waking up every day. You are favored. You are favored. You don't have to apologize because you're unapologetically favored. What you need to do is pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Say, you know what? it's a reason for this. I don't know what that reason is right now, but either I'm going through this test so that I can have a testimony and share it with somebody else and help them, or, maybe there's somebody else out there that I need that's going to help pull me through this because they've been there and they're going to help me get through this. But being able to come from nothing, understand that feeling, know what it's like, and then say, you know what? I know you're having a hard time. You're struggling trying to get through. Let me come over here and help you because I've been there too. Regardless of who she is, what she was doing, she was humble enough and she knew, hey, you know what? These people need help. I'm going to go help them.
Mm-hmm. And when you think about it, man, you can't do that or be like that in the world when you're carrying all that baggage.
Right. And sometimes that's a form of healing.
Mm-hmm.
For me, writing my book, that was my form of healing. Getting out and helping underprivileged, or, working at volunteering at homeless shelters, that could be your healing. Going and speaking about physical, emotional, mental, domestic abuse, that could be your healing. Taking, something that you've lost in your career and turning that into what not to do and speaking about that and mentoring people on what not to do, that can be your healing, your closure. But we don't think about that. We would rather lay down and play victim instead of taking our circumstances and using that for the common good. You got to take your circumstances and use it for the common good. And then I looked up Viola Davis, who we have the Netflix special, right, with Oprah, and I have not looked at that yet, but I do need to watch that. Yeah. But she's been very vocal about her own childhood as one of more than 15 million kids in America facing hunger daily. And now she's an ambassador for Hunger Is, which is a charity that aims to fight childhood hunger. And she's a national spokesperson for No Kid Hungry. She's been working to spread awareness about the impact of pandemic-fueled food insecurity on children. And she's told No Kid Hungry that the uncertainty of where your next meal will come from is a scary thing, and it consumes every walking moment that a person may have. I can still remember what it was like, the stigma attached to it and the shame. That's what so many families are going through right now. She can relate.
Yeah. I mean, we have gone through so much that, I don't, you mentioned Oprah. I can't wait to really tune into her latest project on health. And what she says is how long you live may be determined by your zip code. And boy, do I know what that means, right? I mean, that's what she's talking about. But to imagine being in a situation where the reality is that how long you live is determined by your zip code, that
Right.
brings so many things in this life that require us to learn some resemblance of healing.
Right.
Where does forgiveness fit into this?
And we were talking about, earlier during the break, we had a conversation about just the timeline piece, right? And I'm a firm believer that everybody's timeline is not the same when it comes to the healing process, to include the forgiveness part. If you've been in like a bad relationship, your heart was broken or your trust was just torn away, it takes a long time sometimes to forgive people. Even though you might be surrounded by people that'll say, hurry up and get over it. Healing is not a one size fits all type narrative. Healing is not the same for everybody. Forgiveness is not the same for everybody. But the moment that you do start to forgive, the moment that you are aware or in tune with whatever it is that has hurt you, and you learn to forgive and let that go, you have taken a major step in your life. You have really started your healing journey.
Yeah. And part of this too is we take a look at these things, Courtney, and we look at the healing process, right? And one of the things we haven't maybe said out loud is beyond understanding the origins of things, we also talked about understanding where your pain is coming from, not
Right.
just in one time in your life, but in a situation. Like, why would I be reacting today what has caused me to have a reaction today about something? It may not be related to what happened yesterday. It could
Right.
be related back in the day, right?
Right. And I know I had so over the weekend, I was with a Master Chief friend of mine, and she had a bodybuilding competition. So me and my wife went to go support. And after it was over with, we were just talking. I don't even know how we got into this conversation. And she was talking about a young sailor that she has some issues with, and he was just acting out of character. And so she asked him, "Who hurt you?" And it was like everybody in the room was like, "What?" And she kept asking him, "Who hurt you?" Because right now, you're not mad at us. You're not mad at the situation because your reaction is so far beyond a normal reaction for the situation that is deeper. Who hurt you? And he started just talking about, a past teacher or coach that told him he would never amount to anything. He would never be anything, that, he would end up dead or in prison. And it has always bothered him because he just wants to be the best person he can be. But because somebody constantly told him that, he gets in trouble and now he's mad because it's like what the person told him was coming to fruition. So it's like, you know what? I don't even want to talk about what's happening right now. We need to go back so you can start your healing process to forgive this person. They don't know you. And when you act like this, you're giving your power away for them to continually manipulate you, even when they're long gone out your life.
Oh,
That forgiveness is that first step to healing.
yeah. And it's really interesting because we all carry a burden around for us, and then we're carrying the burden around from people that are just not even in this earth skin anymore.
Right. And
They're
your
like,
bag is overflowing.
they're like, I'm gone. I'm like floating somewhere maybe, but why are
And
you
you're still
still
mad.
mad at me?
And you're still mad. And that's when that awareness of knowing that self-awareness is so important to understand, where is your pain coming from?
Mm-hmm.
How can you take that moment and say, you know what, it's going to hurt like hell, but I'm going to forgive you so I
Mm-hmm.
can move on in my life with
Yeah.
peace, with purpose, with passion, and just do what I have to do for me. No longer
Yeah.
am I going to serve you my emotions on a platter. No, that's not for you anymore. It's for me.
I love this. Part of what you also do is, let's talk about this for a minute in the time we have left, because I think this is super important. One of the cornerstones of 12-step and addiction programs and recovery centers is the ability to show your strength, right? Your strength, hope, your strength, experiences, and hope. And that means you get to tell your story, and you get to tell it your way. No holding back. You're in a forum of people that are like-minded, that are with you, that know and are going to respect you, and you tell that story however that story comes out. We do not do enough of that. But I think you talk about the fact that when we do that, this is about healing and cleansing the soul. You want to talk to that for a minute?
So the, it's the beginning of your inner peace. That cleansing, like when you read all those definitions of the healing process, everybody has their own definition, right?
They do.
And my version of healing might not be the same as yours, might not be the same as my wife's or a co-worker or my brother's, but whatever this healing aspect is for you, however you need to dig deep and starting at the bottom of your bed to get rid of things so that you can be lighter, so your soul can heal, so you can be at peace. That is the beginning of your inner peace. And once you are at peace with the whole you, and you have acknowledged and you are aware and you have forgiven everything from your past, everybody that has hurt you, everything that you've been through, your entire world begins to change. It becomes so much more easier to navigate through life because you have forgiveness in your heart and nothing can bother you anymore because you know where you've been and your struggle to get to where you are right now.
Mm. What do you think is, for you, what are you most optimistic about in what you're seeing in the people you're working with, but even in the world, the people you're mentoring? What really gets you most excited about the shifting that you're seeing today?
Seeing the motivation in them. When you're having a conversation, for the students I spoke with today, and just having them come to me after the event and just they're inquisitive. They want to know. I had a sailor that asked, or not sailor, but a student that asked me, how do I know when to go through my bag? How do I know when? And I said, only you will know. And it might be at the most awkward moment. Like I broke up in a relationship one time and I sat up in the bed at 2:00 in the morning and I said, I can't do this anymore. For me, that was my breakthrough, my time. I said, it's going to happen when only you will know when you are at that spot in your life where you are ready to jump into that pool, to start that healing process, to rip off that Band-Aid you've been covering up. Only you will know, only you can determine that. But it's oh man, there's so much. I have so much about this. I love this. I'm mad the show was only an hour. However, just the healing process, it is very personal and you have to do what's right according to you, healing your own time, because your time is not everybody else's.
You're right. I'm kind of like you. I get more and more optimistic every day. And what I've also learned is that, you can see it in people. I did an interview this morning and Jessica and I we both did interviews this morning for people to add to our staff. And both of us looked at each other and we said, there's just something about them. Mm-hmm. Now, do they have all the skills? Are there all the boxes checked off? And I said, Jessica, when you started, you were an intern. You didn't have all the boxes checked off.
Right.
And I said, I think what we're looking for when you look into somebody's eyes, is there the willingness? Is there the optimism? Do they understand that there is a better world out there they can be part of? And I know you do it too. And when you see that look back at you, Courtney, doesn't that just make your soul smile?
It does. That is my reward. I don't care about tangible things. I don't care about monetary things. I don't care about gifts. I care about the happiness in other people. And that is my purpose, my mission, my passion in life, is to have conversations with people and let them know that you're not the only one. You're not the first, you're not going to be the last. But however, I am here because I fought my way to get here, but I'm not going to forget where I came from. And I'm going to reach back and help you get here with me. It's a tag team effort.
Yeah, it is. Courtney, again, thank you so much. Now, look, this is your show. Tell people how they can listen to past episodes. Also, tell them about your book and some of the other things you're doing, what the best way is for people to find out.
Yes. So if you're just tuning in, you missed half the show, listen, this is how you can get a hold of me. You can visit my website at unapologeticallyfavored.net. You can find me on Facebook at unapologeticallyfavored, on Instagram at unapologeticallyCAK. You can find me on YouTube, podcasts are on YouTube. Podcasts are also uploaded on my website as well at unapologeticallyfavored.net. All three of my books, Unapologetically Favored, Wake Up, Turn Up, Bless Up, and Never Be Afraid to Eat Alone, are on my website as well. You can also purchase them off of Amazon, Barnes & Noble's, Books A Million, and any other book retail outlet out there online. And also, if you can't get enough of me and this excitement that I have, this passion I have about life, you can also download the iHeartMedia app, search WDRB Media, and listen to me every Saturday morning at 0700 on the Unapologetically Favored radio show. So I am here. I'm not going anywhere. This is my life's mission, my passion. And also with that show, I do a lot of interviews with a lot of motivational people too, so don't miss it.
That's it. This is what you call the full-bodied effect of Unapologetically Favored.
Oh, yeah.
Through the heart and soul of Master Chief, yes, Courtney Cottrell. Courtney, thank you so much for everything. You keep doing what you're doing. I bet together we can maybe move the needle a little bit. What do you think?
Woo! I got some good things in store. I gotta let you know about that too.
Okay, good. All right, good. Move the needle. That's what we're talking about. Let's take a short break, everybody. Thank you, Courtney. Thank you, Benny. Thank you, Olivia. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for tuning in to Unapologetically Favored. When you stop worrying about what others think and start walking in your purpose, you allow yourself to grow, you discover all the gifts you have to offer the world, and everything begins to shift from uncertainty to possibility. Can't get enough? Unapologetically Favored is also a book. Bring home a copy and learn more about Courtney by visiting unapologeticallyfavored.com. We will see you right here next time. And until then, keep walking in your purpose.